The message came in while I was arranging flowers in my shop. "You're not invited to Emma's wedding," David wrote. "We don't want you ruining her special day." My hands trembled as I set down the roses I'd been trimming, the same blush pink blooms I'd already ordered for my daughter's bouquet. "My name is Olivia Walker. I'm 45 years old, and I never thought I'd be banned from my own daughter's wedding, especially not after quietly funding the entire event for the past 6 months." I sat at my workbench, surrounded by the scent of fresh flowers and fading memories. Emma grew up in this shop. She'd sit right here after school, watching me create arrangements while scribbling through her homework. She used to talk about her dream wedding in vivid detail: the venue, the flowers, the dress. "Mom, I want peonies and roses everywhere, and it has to be at River Oak Gardens. Promise you'll make it perfect." Of course I promised. What mother wouldn't? That was before David left us when Emma was 16, before he ran off with his 28-year-old secretary and rewrote the story of our marriage. He made himself the victim, painted me as unstable and controlling. Slowly, he turned our daughter against me. Now, 8 years later, his new wife Jessica was stepping in as mother of the bride, and I was labeled the problem. My phone buzzed again. "This is for the best," David wrote. "Emma doesn't need the drama. Jessica's handled everything anyway." I let out a quiet breath, and almost smiled. If only David knew. When Emma got engaged, I knew David would try to dominate the planning. Appearances have always mattered more to him than truth. But I also knew something he didn't think I did: his company was in trouble, his gambling debts were mounting, and he was bleeding money. So, I made a few discreet calls. Mr. Chin, Emma's godfather and an old family friend, had connections at River Oak Gardens. "Premier package," he said. "For Emma, absolutely. I'll make sure they go through you directly." And that was just the start. I arranged the vendors, handled the logistics, and chose every detail based on years of conversations with Emma about her dream day, all while staying in the background. I even had another florist deliver the flowers from my shop to keep my name off everything. The cake, the catering, the music, Jessica thought she picked it all. But every choice she made was something I'd already arranged. She planned a wedding that had already been perfectly planned. David's final message came through. "Jessica's father will walk Emma down the aisle. Please respect our wishes and stay away." I set the phone down and walked to the back cooler. Inside, nestled among the chilled blooms, was the bouquet I'd designed for weeks: blush pink roses, soft white peonies, and baby's breath. Exactly what Emma had always wanted. I had woven tiny pearls, delicate keepsakes from my own wedding dress, into the ribbon around the bouquet. A quiet legacy, a mother's touch Jessica would never think to include. The bell above the shop door chimed, and I quickly closed the cooler. Mr. Chin stepped inside, worry etched into his features. "Olivia," he said, walking straight to the counter. "I just spoke with David's secretary. Is it true?" I nodded and handed him my phone. He read the message silently. "He's banned me from the wedding." His jaw tightened. "After everything you've done, does he have any idea?" "No," I said with a faint smile, "and that's exactly how I want it, for now." He sat down heavily in the consultation chair, shaking his head. "The vendors are asking about final payments. Everything's due next week." "It's covered," I told him. "The money's already in escrow. Every last invoice will be paid on time. David and Jessica won't have to lift a finger." He hesitated, his voice softening. "And Emma, does she know the truth, that her mother gave her the wedding of her dreams?" I blinked hard, tears threatening. "She thinks I left her, just like David claimed. If she knew I was behind it all, she'd probably rip it apart just to prove a point." Mr. Chin reached across the counter and took my hand in his. "You're a better person than they'll ever give you credit for." "Maybe," I murmured, glancing at the wedding timeline pinned above my desk. "But I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it for the girl who used to sit in that chair and dream about peonies and River Oak Gardens. I made her a promise, and I intend to keep it." My phone buzzed again. A message from Jessica. "I've handled everything flawlessly. Emma's going to have the perfect wedding, no thanks to you." I glanced at Mr. Chin. then finally let out a genuine laugh. Well, I said, she's not wrong about that last part. 3 days, that's all that was left. 3 days until a wedding they believed they'd orchestrated, unaware it had all been me. Every vendor, every flower, every carefully hidden detail had been chosen with Emma's dreams in mind, paid for with the savings I'd built over 10 years of running this shop on my own. They thought they were keeping me out. But I would be there, woven into every bouquet, tucked into the lace of her veil, blooming in every petal lining the aisle. Emma might not see me, but she'd be surrounded by my love all the same. I picked up my phone and typed a reply to David. "Don't worry, everything will be perfect," declared grandly, no expense spared. Emma had thrown the words out with a look of pure disdain. "Well, it's not like you could help anyway, Mom, you're just a florist." Just a florist. The phrase stung, but not as much as the sight of my daughter walking away without even stepping inside. My phone buzzed. It was the wedding coordinator I'd hired through Mr. Chen. "Mrs. Walker, we have a situation. The groom's mother is demanding to redo the seating chart. She claims Mr. Harrison's arrangement makes no sense." I sighed, rubbing the bridge of my nose. Jessica, of course she'd try to take over. She doesn't know the effort that went into those placements. I said, the seating reflects years of careful diplomacy. Who can sit together, who must sit together, and who needed to feel honored. "Let her change it," I added, "but keep the original on hand. She'll see why it mattered by morning." After hanging up, I walked to the back room where Emma's bouquet waited in the cooler. I tucked in the final touch, a small silver locket with a photo of my mother, Emma's grandmother, inside. She'd passed when Emma was just a child. Among the pearls and ribbons, Emma might not notice, but I would know. The rest of the day blurred with last-minute chaos. Jessica tried to change the menu. David whined about the music. The groom's mother even threatened to move the ceremony indoors, despite the flawless forecast. But through it all, I kept seeing 12-year-old Emma, sitting beside me at my floral workbench. "Promise it'll be just like this, Mom," she'd said. "Promise you'll make it magical." As the sun dipped low, I drove to River Oak Gardens for a final inspection. The staff, aware of who was truly behind the scenes, let me slip in through the service entrance. The garden looked just as I'd imagined, fairy lights nestled in the trees, floral aisles winding naturally toward the altar. It was perfect. The bride's father came earlier, one staff member whispered, asking to upgrade to champagne he didn't pay for. I nodded, unsurprised. "The premium shipment arrives at 9, I said, "but don't tell them. Let them believe their tantrum worked." As I turned to leave, I caught my reflection in a window. I looked tired, but steady. Tomorrow, my daughter would have the wedding she'd always dreamed of, even if she never knew I made it happen. My phone buzzed again as I slid into my car. A message from Emma. "Mom, I know you're probably upset about not being invited, but Jessica's made everything so perfect. Maybe if you'd put in this kind of effort when I was a kid, things would be different." Tears I'd held back all day finally fell. I wanted to tell her everything about the months of planning, the sacrifices, the quiet love stitched into every detail. But I didn't. Instead, I replied, "I hope your day is everything you've ever wanted, sweetie." Because I had promised. And I intended to keep it. Morning broke just as I'd hoped, blue skies, a soft breeze, and the scent of roses drifting through the garden. From home, I watched via the security cameras Mr. Chen had set up for me. Everything was in motion. Jessica, true to form, was mid-meltdown over the champagne. "But we didn't order this, it must be a mistake." David wasn't far behind, frantically pacing and calling the coordinator about the harpist now accompanying the string quartet. They'd never know how it happened. But I did. And I smiled, knowing it was exactly as Emma had once asked for, magical. Emma's childhood dream, the one he once called too expensive, had finally come to life. And then I saw her. Emma stepped out of the bridal suite in her dress, and for a moment, time stood still. She was breathtaking, radiant, exactly how I had always pictured her on this day. The bouquet I'd made was cradled in her hands, The blush roses bloomed exactly on cue. Through the camera feed, I watched as her fingers brushed the ribbon, her brow furrowing when she noticed the tiny pearls sewn in. She paused. And my phone buzzed. "Mr. Chen, it's time." I took a steady breath and tapped play on the pre-recorded video I had prepared weeks earlier. At the venue, the reception screen flickered to life. Gas rippled through the guests. Jessica and David froze. And there, on the screen, was 12-year-old Emma, seated at my flower shop workbench, grinning as she arranged petals into a messy bouquet. "Promise it'll be just like this, Mom." Her young voice rang through the garden. Pink roses, pearls in the ribbon, and a harpist playing canon in D. The footage played on, short clips of her through the years, dreaming out loud, planning her perfect wedding beside me as we worked. And now, every detail from those moments surrounded her. Jessica's clipboard hit the ground, David's face drained of color. But I was watching only Emma. She stood still, watching her childhood memories unfold on screen, then glanced down at her bouquet again. Slowly, she noticed the locket tucked between the blooms. With trembling fingers, she opened it. Inside, a photo of her grandmother, and a note, small and worn. "I promised to make it perfect. Love, Mom." I saw it happen, the instant the truth reached her eyes. She looked around, really saw the flowers, the lights, the music, and tears spilled down her cheeks. "Where's my mother?" she asked aloud, voice cracking. "Where's Mom?" David stepped forward, voice falsely calm. "Emma, sweetheart, let's not get distracted." "Jessica." "No," Emma cut in, louder now, unwavering. "No more lies, Dad. These are Mom's roses. I'd know them anyway." She raised the bouquet. "No one else would think to weave pearls into this ribbon. No one else would remember the shade of pink." She turned sharply toward Jessica, who sputtered something about vendors and contracts. "You didn't plan this wedding, did you?" Before she could respond, Mr. Chen stepped forward. "No," he said clearly, "she didn't. Your mother did. Every flower, every light, every detail. She paid for everything, months ago." A hush fell. Only the harpist continued, playing canon in D, just as a little girl once dreamed. "Why?" Emma whispered. "Why would she do all this, and not tell me?" That was my cue. I stepped from behind the trellis where I'd been watching. "Because you deserved your perfect day," I said gently, whether I was there or not. She turned, her eyes met mine, and for a long moment, we just looked at each other. Then she ran to me, like she was 12 again, throwing her arms around my neck. "I'm so sorry, Mom," she sobbed, "for everything." I held her tight, careful not to wrinkle her dress. "No need to be," I murmured. "Just be happy, that's all I ever wanted." She stepped back, wiping her tears carefully, preserving her makeup. "Will you walk me down the aisle?" she asked, "please." I looked to David, silent now, deflated. Jessica had nothing left to say. Then I looked back at Emma, and I saw her, the girl who used to plan fairy tales with flowers at my side, the one who had always believed in magic. "Of course," I said, "I promised to make this day perfect." We took our places. Across the garden, Mr. Chen caught my eye. He smiled as he powered down the video screen. The truth was out. And my daughter was in my arms again. Sometimes, revenge isn't loud. It's not messy or cruel. Sometimes, the sweetest justice is simply keeping your promises, even when no one is watching, even when no one believes in you. I promised her a perfect wedding. And that's exactly what she got. The fact it also unraveled years of lies. Just a bonus. One that smelled like perfectly bloomed roses. Ask ChatGPT.